All right, hi again, everyone. I see lots more people are joining us. That's wonderful. Um, so I'm just checking in to let you all know that we're on schedule, and we're going to get started in just a few more minutes to let a few more participants join us. But we're all set on this end and really excited. So we'll see you all really soon. Hi, everyone. So we're ready to get started. So in just a moment, I'm going to bring Tracy and Mario on. So everyone get settled and just give me one more moment and we will be ready to start the gathering.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first live community gathering for the May 2015 course. I'm sitting here watching the chats and so many people noting Thank you, Dennis. Thank you so much for opening Sacred Space. And thank you for your commitment to the Game Changer Intensive. And congratulations on your third round of it.
Let's look a little bit at what we'd like to accomplish together tonight. And please forgive me anytime I say tonight if you're somewhere where it's actually morning. So there are people, if you'll notice from the chat when people signed in, we're from all over the world on this call. Let's just look, we have a slide that I'll read it to you. We've got about 15 or so people who are not able to see what's on the screen. They're participating by telephone. To those of you telephone people, lovely that you can make it. You'll miss some stuff, and we'll do our very best to read aloud what people are seeing on the screen. So in a moment, here on our live screens, we're seeing the purpose of tonight's gathering, and that's to provide a forum for Game Changer Intensive participants to experience themselves as a community, engaged in doing the inner and outer work needed to change the dream of the modern world and to change the game and the cultural story underpinning it. So two points I want to make about that, and just to be clear with all of us, that this intensive has, if you want to say, two different thrusts. It's work on our inner selves and work on the world out there. So some of us are, I think, quite happy and comfortable with the work we're going to be doing on our inner self. We love that stuff. And we're maybe a little bit more new to well, I'm not sure about that world out there and changing it. Others of us who are attracted to a course called Game Changer Intensive are all ready to dive in. Okay, let me at it, world, I'm ready to go. And you may be a little surprised to see in this intensive, we spend a fair amount of time at the beginning doing the work on the inner self. So just you might want to notice which area, if one or the other calls to you more. From our point of view, they're both absolutely important and a part of our journey together. The inner work on ourselves as game changers to be up to the challenge and the opportunity of this huge game that we get to be key participants changing. Tonight, one of our main goals is for you to have a sense of who else is in this course with you. As you'll see in a moment, I think there are 284 of us who've signed up for it. And, you know, as you're doing your readings, as you're writing in your discussion forums, as you're watching the videos, we just want you to have a little bit more sense who's in the course with you. So let's look and see what we're going to do on the call. Here's our agenda. Those of you on the phone, I'll read it aloud. We've already welcomed you. Open Sacred Space. We're doing the overview now. In a minute, Mario's going to give you an orientation to this technology that we're using. And those of you who are on the phone, hopefully by our next gathering, I believe it's on July 15th, maybe you could get yourself in front of a computer just for that night so you'll be able to enjoy the visuals. But anyway, Mario will let us know how to maximize this platform. We'll look together at what we call the arc of the Game Changer Intensive. It actually has maybe a poetry or a directionality that we'd like to make sure we're all clear at here at the start. Then we'll look a little more at who are the people who have signed up for this 7th Game Changer Intensive, just so you know you're what we call GCI 7. And we'll hear from you. We're going to ask you questions, and you'll have a couple different ways you can respond and not only notice what you say, but notice what the other people in the community say. Again, as a way to get to know one another better. We'll have hopefully time for some open question and answers, anything you want to know or say about the intensive itself, and that'll be it. And we should be done. We will be done within 90 minutes and possibly even a little sooner.
Great. So let's jump into, before we actually go into more of the course, let's talk about this platform that we're on. So this platform, you'll hear us call it Neuro. It's basically the company that offers it. Just want to guide you through how to use some of this stuff. So at the top of, on the right top of your screen, you should see a little button that says Chat. If you open that, a box will appear where you can actually see the chats from other people and add your own. This is a key thing that we're going to use. First off, just with each other, we'll actually provide some structured time to log things into the chat logs. And something I also want to mention, later on we're going to actually open it up to your questions. So 2 things. One is you're going to pose those questions here in the chat log, and 2, I invite you to start thinking of questions now. What are things you're curious about? What isn't making sense? What do you want to understand more about? Start thinking now, because we'll open up some time a little bit later. We also just want to sort of start with a disclaimer. That's that, we wish we could see you all. We wish we could bring you together and you could see each other. The truth is, as much as we hear about online learning and online online education, it's actually in its infancy. So this ability to have multimedia presentations and chats and FaceTime is really just starting out. So we're kind of riding the cutting edge, and it's just not there in the way that we wish it were. So you'll find, this presentation is going to be us up here, and we'll create as many opportunities as we can so that you can actually hear from each other and share your perspective. We so wish we could have something more interactive. We especially wish we could see you, and we're really hoping that technology is going to get there eventually. So again, the questions for later, and I think that's all we need to say about the chats. Yeah, I think that's it. So why don't we actually try two things, actually. So just to play with the chats, I see a lot of chats happening. If you haven't chatted something yet, just go ahead and put the month you were born, just something out there so you can get a feel for how it works. Some of you have already posted. Barbara Shore, hello from Ashland, Oregon. Actually, I've seen Fresno, San Diego, I think I saw Australia. Fantastic. So it's working.
June, November, April, October. This is for the people on the phone. February.
Perfect. Okay, so why don't we actually jump with our first poll? We're going to have several polls throughout tonight's gathering, and they're actually going to pop up right in front of your screen. You're going to pick the option that you want. Once you see it, once you pick your option, you'll actually see what the readout is for everybody else who's answered that question. So let's bring up our first poll.
Okay, and you phone people, we don't want you to feel alienated or uninvolved. So we're going to read the polls, and you're going to just, in your own little head, pretend you have a screen, and you're going to mark up the one that's true for you so you don't zone out. You want to stay connected to this meeting.
So our first practice poll, I prefer sunny days. Answer number 1. Answer number 2, I prefer rainy days. And answer number 3, I don't pay attention to weather.
Okay, are we marking?
And we are not voting formally because I think we are in unison that we prefer rainy days because we are romantics, aren't we?
And because we live in California, and we'll take any water we can get at the moment.
So obviously the clear winner here, I prefer sunny days at 81%. Great, you get it. That's what polls are going to be like. Okay,
just to be clear, it isn't that we really wanted to know your weather preferences, folks. We're testing our ability to do these polls. Okay.
Two things. So I want to pick both, and all weather is fantastic. So you'll notice that the chats actually become a natural place to share and dialogue. And we have heard from previous participants that they can be distracting. So go figure, it's actually hard to concentrate on two conversations at the same time. So just be aware of how much you're putting into the chats and how much you're paying attention to what's on screen. We're going to give you a ton of opportunities to chat. So let's bring up our next poll. This is our first real poll, and again, part of getting to know each other. So on your screen, you're going to get our next poll, and let us know, is this your first online course? And you should be seeing it shortly, and you're just going to pick yes or no. Is this your first online course?
We've got 14 no's so far and 7 yeses so far. Keep polling, folks.
So a surprising number of people actually who have taken an online course before. We're at just below 70% of people have taken an online course, but a good 35% of people, it's their first time taking an online course.
No, didn't you just say that the opposite?
So we have 34%. Right, yes. 34% of people have never taken an online course before, right?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So to you in particular, welcome and well done. Not only did you get onto the course, not only were you able to weave through the emails that we've sent you, but you're also on this live community gathering. So a special welcome to you. Fantastic. So we're going to actually talk a little bit more now about the arc of the intensive. So we are in week 3 of the intensive, and you may have noticed we sent you an email yesterday releasing module 3, the power of storing. So let's bring up the slide that shows the arc of the intensive, and I'll go through relatively quickly what the next few weeks are going to look like. So you've experienced Module 1, the Introduction to Game Changing. This really lays the foundation for what being a game changer actually is. We articulate the 10 qualities of a game changer, and my personal favorite, the qualities or the principles of spiritual leadership. Really the bedrock for what it means to be a game changer. Then we go to the power of storing. This is really key to the entire Game Changer Intensive. This is really looking at what is reality as we know it, what we just consider the natural order of things, who does it serve, and what is our power to change it. The power of story, of changing what we understand to be separation and hierarchy with a different story of interconnectedness, is key to the entire Game Changer Intensive. So Module 2 is key. This week we are at evolutionary activism, which has a potentially provocative idea that humanity is key to the evolution of all life on Earth. I'm really interested to see the conversations that emerge in your small groups, and don't forget to post your ideas in the discussion forums. This takes us to the case for grounded optimism. You know, as we look at the external world, at the systems and structures that create a world of environmental degradation, of social injustice, it can be really easy to get mired in hopelessness and maybe even denial. It's going to take us taking a real stand for what we call grounded optimism, highlighting our victories, really letting them live in us as we move forward as game changers. That's the first half of the course, which really focuses on who we need to be. The second half of the course begins with the rigged game, Module 5, where we start focusing on what do we need to do. The rigged game really dives into the systems and structures that surround us, and especially into how money and power affect our democracy. We actually look at race. It's a very intense module, or I should say some people find it intense. As Tracy talked about, some people are really eager to start talking about the systems and structures. We're going to start doing it in the rigged game. We follow that with Module 6, Game-Changing Movements, where we show 2 key movements that the Pachamama Alliance has identified as being crucial to the future of humanity: democracy and climate change. And we end the course with Module 7, Going Forth. And this is really wrapping everything up, and very importantly, where you will actually write up an action plan that has clear dates and what your avenues for action are actually going to be. So that's the arc of the intensive. Again, I'd sort of frame it as the first half really focuses on this personal transformation bit. What does it take? What kind of person does it take for me to be to really change the world? The second half of the course really focuses on, well, what about the world do we need to change?
Yeah, and as Mario says, in some ways, in Module 7, our last module, the course culminates when you yourself create your own action plan. So we're going to use all these weeks, all the readings, everything you do leads up to the point where you decide what's your plan. So that happens in the very last module. A key part of the Game Changer Intensive, from the point of view of the participants, from everything they tell us, are the small meeting groups. A lot of people are surprised at how connected they feel to some of the people in their groups. So we're going to do a little poll now. You phone people. This is what the poll choices are that participants will get to vote on right now. Regarding your small group meetings, it'll come up in just a minute. Regarding your small group meetings, and hopefully you know what we're talking about, but you'll be able to check either you love them, so far the best part of the intensive, or they're fine, glad I've done them, or maybe what's true for you is they're kind of disappointing. Or maybe the most salient experience you've had is that there have been technical problems, or maybe the most truthful answer for you is, what small group meetings? So, those of you on the phone will read you what your fellow community members are responding.
So about 57% of people really love them. The second behind that, oh, and actually, so at almost tied are people who love them and people who are glad they've done it. They think they're fine. And some people have found them disappointing. And like we said, we would love to hear your feedback of how we might make them better. Fantastic.
One way in the past people have told us that's disappointing is when people don't show up for their small group meeting and they just kind of disappear in the ethers. So each small group has a moderator, and we want to at this point do a public thank you to these totally volunteer moderators. They're people who've taken the intensive and love it. Probably some of you who are on this call tonight will be moderators for next time. We hope so. We invite you to do that. Anyway, moderators kind of hold the space of the calls, and if you know you're not going to be in your small meeting group, you let the moderator know that you won't be there next week, so the group isn't like, what was that guy? Remember that guy Harry? What happened to him? So Harry doesn't just disappear into the ethers, okay? So if you could do that, that will probably change the disappointment factor.
Great.
Okay, again, so one of the things we're doing tonight is getting a sense of who we are. So in a minute, Ariel, if you could put up a slide that just gives us some basic statistics.
Oh, this is the faces, actually.
Okay. All right. Phone people, use your imagination. You are imagining, I don't know, 50, 100 faces of game changers. So that's what we kind of look like. And here are some statistics about us. Total number of people who participate, and by participate we mean signed up. So we had 284 people signed up. Age distribution. Can you help interpret these? You interpret them better than I do.
Yes.
All these circly things.
So out of those 284 participants, about 20% of them are between 35 and 44. About 19% are 45 to 54. Almost actually the exact same from 55 to 64, and 23% are over 65. So another way of saying that is that about 80% of people taking the course are over the age of 35.
You just figured that out by looking at that?
Yeah, that's
that's
my brain in
All
action.
right, I like it.
And we have statistically a 0.5% of people under 18. So if you are on the phone, welcome. And if you're on the East Coast or anywhere where it's nighttime, we promise to get you to bed as quickly as possible. For the gender distribution, we've got 26% are male and 74% are female.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. There's a well, there happens to be a gender here that is for whatever reason ready to go to work. And really to say 23% over 65. So really welcome to the people who are in the second part of their lives who, and some of the participants have let us know, now I have time to actually focus on changing the world, and at the same time, there's a nice, healthy selection of people from the younger groups too. So
yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the next slide. So this next slide shows us the distribution of GCI participants across the world. You can actually
that's in this particular intensive.
That's in this particular intensive. Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you can see, obviously the majority of people, 81% of people, come from North America, but just about every continent is actually represented in this particular course. We've got 8% of people from Europe, 2.5% from Asia, about 3.5% from South America. So increasingly, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, this particular course had the highest number of international participants that we've ever seen. So welcome.
And I want to make a comment. As one of the course designers, we did design this with a North American audience in mind. So we were not so arrogant to think that we could create a course that would work for everybody in every culture at all times. Those participants who are participating from Europe, from Oceania, Asia, Africa, and South America, our hats off to you for being willing to be in a course that it doesn't have you at the center of the bullseye of focus, but the people who've gone before you have shared that they get a lot out of it. So thank you for getting a lot out of it. There are subgroups that are saying, hey, we're going to put together the Latin American version of the intensive. all that can be done in the future. But for now, we do acknowledge that our thinking in designing the course, we were working with the U.S. or North American mentality in mind.
Great. Let's go to the next slide. So with that in mind, here is a screenshot of folks in the U.S. who actually told us what their zip code was. Not everybody told us where they were. For those people who told us, this is how they're distributed on the map. So interestingly, you know, a lot of people from the West Coast. It's interesting. I mean, basically, there's a pretty big Eastern contingent and a significant Western contingent. Those central states are...
There are a few of you. Hi, you guys. Thank you. You're doing brilliant, noble work representing your part of the country.
We have some folks in Mexico and Canada that aren't shown in this map. But again, it just goes to show this is really a national and a worldwide movement. And if you can imagine that wherever you see a dot or wherever you are, there's the possibility for community that's based on game changer values and based on what you've learned from the Pachamama Alliance and with other people. So it's a wonderful opportunity and just an interesting visual representation of all of the different people involved.
Hey, and if you look at that map, how cool would it be if next time we give the intensive, every place where there's your dot, your balloon, there are 5 more. So what if everyone in this intensive made it your business to make sure we take this to the other people in our community, that the cumulative number of balloons across the U.S. and actually the world would increase. A fabulous idea.
I have a pop quiz for you. What state has the abbreviation of MN?
Minnesota.
Very good.
Why?
So we have a question of who else is in Minnesota. This is an excellent question, and it actually brings up for anybody, if you're interested in finding out who might be in your area, let us know. We'll try and hook you up. It's possible you're within a couple 100 miles with somebody, and there's the possibility for community.
Yeah, great.
Cool.
Okay, thank you.
So again, this is just to give you a sense of everybody who's together, and let's, in the spirit of that, let's find out a little bit more about each other. So we've got our next poll.
Don't we have a slide? Can we get some slides of quotes available?
Oh, right, thank
you
you.
did fill out applications. We were asking you, what are you interested in? Why are you taking this thing? And obviously there were 284 different answers, but we'll just give you a little taste. People on the phone, one person said, I want to look my daughter in the eye when I'm older and explain how I understood what we were doing to the world and tried to do something about it.
I look forward to hearing from people with different perspectives and backgrounds. I want to learn what I can do to make a difference in my community. And again, remember, these are statements that you all made, people who actually came into the course.
Someone else wrote in an application, I'm challenged with despair for the state of the planet and its beings and hope to be reminded that being the change really does make a difference and that others are on the path too.
I feel so strongly that there must be a change in the direction this world and us as a race are headed. If I expect to change, then I must be willing to take action and lead by example.
Great.
They're beautiful. You know, every time we read these applications, it's just so inspiring to see the depth and commitment that people are bringing to this.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you, we'll talk about the discussion forums in a minute, but if you're reading the discussion forums, you guys are amazing. You are really deep, eloquent. It's inspiring. It's really inspiring. We love our job.
So again, in the spirit of getting to know each other, let's go with our next poll, poll number 4. This is a question of how are you feeling about the future? Really take a moment to feel it out. We've got 4 options that we've provided. It may not encapsulate everything that you feel. You may feel them all. Pessimistic and fearful, worried but hopeful, optimistic, we can do this, and I try not to think about it. So 4 options for those of you on the phone to the question of how are you feeling about the future? And so far, worried but hopeful is the majority of people. And actually, we either have people who are worried but hopeful or optimistic. So
nobody doesn't, I guess the people who don't try not to think about it don't take this course. Okay,
true.
so that was
Why
kind of a
would you
no-brainer. And we got somebody who says, basically, when I look at the future, I'm kind of feeling pessimistic and fearful.
Mhm.
Appreciate the honesty.
So,
What would you think?
I
Today.
actually feel, I feel worried. I feel worried, but hopeful. And to be honest, sometimes I am hopeful in the strength I see around me. And that inspires me and keeps me moving, even when I don't feel strong enough to do it myself. So a quick note, notice how you feel. Notice that there are all sorts of different realities for people. And take note, kind of put it in your heart, put it in your mind, and note what might change at the end of the course. Do you feel differently? Would you answer that question differently if you answered it at the end of the course?
One of the questions that came up on the chat, maybe you could just say now, somebody said she can't find discussion forums. And since they're such a big part of the course, is there a way, or Aria, maybe you could chat in there? Okay, so because they're such a good part of the course, if you were having trouble finding them or can't quite find your way around, just email us or just Aria will be back in touch. Okay. So we're finding out more about each other. We now know that most of us are either optimistic or kind of worried, but we're hopeful. How about this? What's the main reason you're taking this course? And I'll read the 4 choices. It's very possible that all 4 are true for you, and we're purposely asking you to pick what's the main one. Of the main ones, which is the one if you only had to pick one? Again, for you to find out a little bit about yourself, and for us to find out what's driving those of us who are in this community. So, phone people, the choices are this. The main reason I'm taking this course, I need hope and inspiration. Another answer, I want to connect with other people. Another choice is, I want to learn about the issues. And the final choice is, I'm ready to get into action. And Mario, will you read the percentages?
Wow. I mean, this course is very interesting. 43% of people said, I'm ready to get into action. The next group, the next significant group is people looking for community. I want to connect with others. Followed by that is, I want to learn about the issues at about, I think that says 19%. So a good chunk of people are looking to get into action. A good chunk of people are looking for community. So there is the opportunity to have that in this course. So stick around and you'll find develop naturally. Wonderful. So, excuse me. So let's bring up our next poll. So, and again, this is all, think of this as, we're trying to sort of break through what your experience might be, taking an online course, you're sitting by yourself at a computer. You don't get the opportunity of seeing how other people in the classroom are reacting to the material or what they like. So this next question is, what are you liking best about the course so far? Readings, videos, writing in the forums, small groups, all of the above, or none of the above? So 2 have no votes yet, and that's people, luckily, none of the above has no votes. And very interestingly, nobody has identified writing in the forums as one of the things that they like best so far. Videos is the biggest group of people at about 49%, followed by people who just love the whole thing at about 21%. And a good number of people who actually appreciate the small groups at about 11%. So the videos are really landing with people. A little less than 45% of people are really appreciating the videos.
And just to say, we took a lot of care in, I'll say, curating the material for this course. So this was not just thrown together. There's a team of people worked on it for years, and every time there's an intensive, somebody says, have you tried this video? There's a new article here. Sometimes 6 months later, someone will send us something, this really should be an intensive. So in some ways, the content that you're loving, whether it's the reading or the videos or any part of the course, is a gift to you from everyone who's come before and who's been helping to make it an even better course. And again, as Mario said earlier, we invite you to keep your eye open on that as well, ways to improve it. I just want to go back to one on the previous question. One person said she couldn't answer any of the things of which she liked best, or why she was taking the course. The reason she was taking the course, it was Catherine, I think, is because everyone around her says how good it is, so she wanted to find out. That's a great answer. We should have given that one as an option.
Cool. So one other thing we wanted to share with you is on the course website, on the right-hand side is something called Great Stuff. So we have tried to provide, discussion forums to share information, but you might want to actually share your own material that you have found out there. You might have something you want to put out there that you're finding doesn't fit into the discussion forums. Great Stuff is exactly that. You can put whatever you'd like there. Unlike the discussion forums, which are actually groups of about 45 people, 48 people, the Great Stuff forum is open to everybody. So if there's something you really want to share with people, poetry, articles, whatever it might be, that's a great place to do it.
So, in this journey tonight to find out a little bit more who's in the course with you, we're going to read to you what some people have posted on these discussion forums. You can just kind of sit back for a minute and just listen and hear the voices of some of the people in our community.
And just to put a little, so these are actually postings that we've taken from the discussion forum. So a lot of these are available for you to see.
Right. Again, so this is not stuff we wrote, this is stuff you wrote. So one person said this, and again, if you remember, in each module there's at least one, sometimes two discussion forum questions where we ask you to respond. So this was in response to Bill's message about the game being rigged, I think. Do you agree? And one person said, it's possible that maybe the game is rigged at a much deeper level also, by life itself, allowing us as collective co-creators to discover who we really are. Is it possible that life is using the very things that oppress us or that act against us to call us forth, to wake us up, to call back our power, our spirit, and to become animated on behalf of the whole?
Here's another one. There is a danger if we say that they rigged the game. It's not we and they. I'm afraid that for most of us, it's us.
Here's one. I don't consider that I've rigged the system particularly, but I sure have taken advantage of the rigging. There are lots of people who are smarter and harder working than I am who are struggling to get enough to eat. I need to remember not to be self-righteous. I don't need to rig the system because I was born into it, as I suspect most of the people on this forum also were.
This one really moves me. Do not insulate yourself from pain. As I have done, it only leads to fatalism and despair. I must feel the pain if I want to be able to take action.
Judith said this. She wrote, thank you all for your heartfelt contributions to this forum. I have enjoyed and learned from your posts. It will take me a little while to find my voice here, to be able to mine the words to express my feelings on these various issues. So I think initially we were just surprised that everybody wasn't writing all the time in every discussion forum. And over the months as we come to meet you and know you, we realized some people are just not that comfortable putting their thoughts in writing. It's too risky. And for those of you, like Judith, she's kind of working on it, but maybe it won't happen. However, for those of you who aren't comfortable necessarily putting your thoughts out there, what you could do is just put a little, wow, that was great, so that to encourage others. So whether you're going to write the long essay yourself or the deep insight, you still could participate just by encouraging what you are finding when you do the reading.
Maybe one more?
Sure.
I am aware that this particular time on the planet is a window. How we move through this time will impact all species in the near future. I need like-minded community that also knows this and can help envision together a way to live that honors the earth and all beings, and to stay positive physically and spiritually during some very difficult times.
I'm going to do a final one here. If you remember the last module on story, the forum we asked you to do is to take a situation, a story that you have about the world, say what the old story is and how it makes you feel. Then we ask you to put together a new story and notice how you felt. So here was Steve's response. He said, the issue was the state of the world. His current old story is there's an escalating lunatic frenzy of criminal anarchy against the environment. His feelings, I'm terrified. The new story that he could create was, we are at the beginning of the most significant transition in all human history. From this will arise a better world that is environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, and socially just. So, I mean, I get so inspired by what happens when we generate a story or we realize there's another story possible than the one the media and the one that's in our head on a bad night. There's a whole other story possible that makes you end up feeling completely different. So I love the way you wrote that, Steve. Thank you.
Beautiful. Great. Heads up, we're going to take questions soon. So again, if you haven't thought of one or if there's something that you'd like, write it down or get ready. So we wanted to take a little bit of a deeper look at the intensive. And kind of starting out with, how did this whole thing begin? Because we think it's significant. So, about 20 years ago, the three co-founders, John Perkins, Bill Twist, and Lynn Twist, were what we say called to the rainforest. And partially, this is because a group of people in the Amazon, the Achuar people, did something that groups in the Amazon hadn't done. In the face of what they were finding with oil development and the destruction of their land, they actually reached out to the modern world. They were able to reach John Perkins, Bill, and Lynn, and from that developed a partnership that was just basically what the Pachamama Alliance is now. And it was 20 years ago.
And initially, when the Achuar reached out, it wasn't only that they wanted something from the modern world, it was equally that they felt they had a message or a way of living that was important for all the world. So it was very reciprocal, hence when we named it the Pachamama Alliance. It wasn't the Pachamama, let's go help the people in the rainforest.
Absolutely, and that really shines through in the respect and the honoring of indigenous tradition. The mandate from the Achuar, because there was a fruitful collaboration, and they made really clear that if you see that our futures are tied together, then go to the north and change the dream of the modern world. And you'll hear us use this phrase. The Achuar were a dream-based culture. And they described that the dream we were living in the modern world was destroying the planet, really.
Or you could even say is.
Yeah, absolutely. So out of this developed the Awakening the Dreamer, Changing the Dream Symposium. And this is really the really challenging mandate to change the dream of the modern world, to wake people up from it. The symposium, the Awakening the Dreamer Symposium, is actually a prerequisite of the intensive, and you probably, actually all of you have taken it before. This is really the vehicle that we used for years to wake people up, and for a long time we didn't have an answer of what to do afterward. Stay awake, put on other symposiums, develop community. We eventually realized that waking up is crucial, consciousness is crucial, but the systems and structures that bind us all together actually need to be confronted. And it's going to take collective action and consciousness raising to truly change the modern world. And that's really how the Game Changer Intensive was born, out of a desire to take that wakefulness, deepen it, and to shine a light on the systems and structures that face us, and what are the sort of game-changing movements that we can be a part of, the pivot points, where all of our different interests, whether you're into permaculture or racial politics or gender equality, how can we all partner together to create this new world?
Could I interrupt for 1 second?
Please.
I love what you've said so far. This idea that in the symposium, people wake up and realize they have a role to play, and that for a long time we thought that was it. If we could just get everybody to wake up, realize a different future is possible, take a stand, way to go world.
Mm.
You know, and really for a long time, for years, the Patron Alliance mainly offered the Awakening Dreamer Symposium. At some point, it became clear that we could take stands from now till the cows come home, but that there are actually some systems in place right now that you can't penetrate. They can't be penetrated with my individual stand and Mario's individual stand, and that we actually needed to examine and kind of have the courage. Those of us who love the being part, the stand part, have to have the courage to realize there is a world out there, it's arranged in a certain way, and when you start to look, things are rigged. Now, no, we're not talking about they're the bad guys and we're the wonderful angels. No, but we're living in a world where the game is rigged. Now, if we're committed to transformation or to the environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just human presence, we just can't not deal with that. And that's why this course, really, and that's particularly the second part of the course, where we're looking, as Mara was about to tell you, well, rigged how? And what the heck are we supposed to do about it? And is that something an individual can do, or does it need to be done in community?
Mm. And Bill talked about, as we've identified these two relatively specific avenues for action that we see, these two game-changing movements, democracy and climate change. It comes from two thoughts, really. One is, as we sort of evolve our consciousness, as we see our interconnectedness, we develop new stories that connect us, that see humanity as part of a much longer story. As we sort of grow and live at higher levels of being, we need political structures that are a match for us. The current system just isn't going to work. It's just not going to manage. It's not up to it. We are actually going to need a new paradigm. So this is what our commitment to democracy is. It's not, put a Band-Aid on it and get it to work. It's really getting a system that's up to the kind of humanity we're heading toward. And obviously, what's that worth if we're on a planet that's inhospitable for us? So climate change is urgent and needed now.
We mentioned that we will be having another one of these all-community gatherings in July, mid-July, and hopefully one of the founders, Bill Twist, will be with us. And if he is, I hope he will talk to us about his vision for what we're talking about when we say democracy. Because, there are a lot of amazing projects out there, and people say, well, why democracy? What about this? What about this? What about this? All valid projects. The way Bill talks about the kind of democracy, I don't know, I just get goosebumps, I want to cry. It's like something the world has never seen before. A kind of living together as human beings where people truly all do have an equal chance at a whole and complete life. That we aren't backing off. We aren't looking at history and saying, well, it's never been done, probably won't, it's kind of not set up to do that. No, you, by being in this course, are now one of the people who's going to actually look at is something huge and really transformational for the entire planet possible. I'm throwing my hat in the ring. That's what the invitation is. It's way bigger than, well, I'm not really political, I don't like politics, we got a democracy, whatever. No, we're talking about something completely different. And as the course progresses, you'll find out more about that.
Cool. Well, why don't we open it up to questions? So any questions you have for Tracy and I?
From the sublime to the ridiculous.
Absolutely. Anything goes. Go ahead and type your questions in the chat log, and we'll be happy to answer them. And Ariel, I have noticed, has been doing an incredible job of answering tons of questions, so thank you, Ariel. And if you've got anything else that you're interested in hearing about, understanding, don't be afraid to be provocative. We would love to hear it. So one person said, I hope the course talks about getting over fear. Fear is a real action blocker.
Well, can I talk about that right now?
Oh,
okay.
That's the idea.
Oh, Fiona, hi. I want to connect that to the whole comfort zone conversation that hopefully you remember from the very first module, where, just to remind us, there's this thing called our comfort zone, and it's where we live. It's where Mario lives. It's where Tracy lives, where Ariel lives, where you live. And for some of us, we kind of got a nice size one. We've been doing the work for years. We got a comfort zone that would impress other people. Then there's something called our panic zone, where we just know we're not going to do that, not in this lifetime. Maybe it would be wonderful, maybe the world needs it, but do not count on me. I'm not delivering that. So that's the panic zone, and here's our comfortable comfort zone. In between these zones is a stretch zone. And our premise, our assertion, our invitation, Fiona and everyone else, is it's in that stretch zone that all transformation happens. Things do not transform personally or for the world when we're in our comfort zone. They just don't. It stays comfortable. So, Fiona, yours could be fear. Somebody else is going to be something else. I invite you to consider that fear that you are willing to move into your stretch zone with your fear and take whatever little steps you want. I read recently that beginning being in action is more than 50% of the way there. So, I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it. If you take the first step, you don't even have to arrive at your destination. You're already well way on your way if you take the first step. So, Fiona, whatever it is you're afraid of, talking about other people, they'll think you're wacky, or, being too political, or being taken, I don't know what your fears are. We want to just give it right back to you. For you to move out of your comfort zone, identify a next step you could take in this fear thing and take it. That's what this whole community is standing behind you doing in this course, and for the rest of your life, frankly, but during the course.
I love it. Fiona wrote back.
What'd she say?
So, fear's my buddy.
Yay, Fiona! You can write about this. We'll look on the discussion forum, see how you and your buddy are doing. Anybody? Anything else? That, you don't have to. We just thought, since we aren't getting to see your faces and have this one big circle, we just wanted to make sure we're giving you a chance to speak up a little bit. Any question you have about any aspect of the course. No one's asked it yet, but we'll tell you that this whole course tonight, the live gathering, will be available to you, I think, within 24 hours. So any of these chats you didn't get to read, you phone people, you'll get to watch the whole thing and read all the chats. So that does stay available. Okay, any other questions that we've gotten?
We do have a few.
Okay.
So let's see. I'm going to pick one that's a little bit shorter and easier for me to read for now. How do I get over feeling insignificant in my action? Fair enough. Can I try this?
Go for it.
So there are a couple of ways, but here's the key way. Don't do it alone. When your actions multiplied by others have a huge impact. Thinking that you need to be the one to change the system is a recipe for failure. Partnering with people, sharing the burden, whatever that might look like, whether it's joining an organization or donating to an organization, what you can actually offer when combined with the intentions and actions of others actually multiplies what you're up to. So I guess one of the things that I would say is you're not alone. Don't forget that you're not alone. When you look at that map of participants just in GCI across the world, across the country, there are people in pockets all over the place really not only trying to change the paradigm that they're living in, but actually trying to change the circumstances that they face. And collectively, that's really where our power lies.
Thank you. Great. I would also add to that in Module 7, the last module, you're going to have one link to a Word document that's quotations. It has some of the most wonderful quotations that we've ever heard anywhere in the world. So it's a very rich place. I think in there is this quote, which I'm now going to misquote because I don't remember it exactly. But I think it was Gandhi who said, "What you do won't make a difference, but it's vitally important that you do it." No, he's not a Zen guy, but that sounds very Zen to me. So your actions are not going to make a difference, but it's vitally important that you take them. So it's some quote like that.
Maybe one more.
I have two that I wanted to talk to.
Oh, great.
And then you can go for the third one.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned that we have confidentiality agreements in our small groups. What if something fabulous is shared that would really move someone else? Is it okay to share? My answer, and you could see how you'd answer mine would be, check it out with your group. Just say, Susie, what you said last time was so moving. Do you mind? You can even do it by email. You don't have to wait till next week. Do you have a different answer?
Yeah, I would check in with your group. You know, I actually, I've been a moderator and I've been part of small groups, and the intimacy and trust that develops, I feel it's precious and it's a gift. So as long as you check in with people, I think it's wonderful. And, you know, I've found that people are actually really courageous and insightful in small groups. So sometimes really amazing things that emerge that surprise themselves. So check in, and my guess is it'll be fine.
The one I was going to answer is, what else does Patrimonial Alliance offer? But you might have one.
That's exactly what
That
I
was
was
the
going
one
to
you-
say.
So we're going to address that in our last session together. We'll tell you everything we offer, but just in real short form, in addition to the Awakening the Dreamer Symposium, parentheses, which you're very invited to take to your local church, university, corporation, etc. So we would love to see this symposium very broadly spread, and this intensive, which more and more people are deciding to take as groups, as communities. We also are working in communities in what we call our Up to Us engagement pathway. So at some point, this course will end, sad to say. A way for you to stay involved with the Pachamama Alliance, and the perspective and the work of the Pachamama Alliance would be with local communities. And in our last session, we'll tell you about that. We also have links to the game changer movements that we feel are especially powerful. We'll be telling you more about them. We offer trips to the rainforest, to the actual where the symposium, the Pachamama Alliance began, the Achuar territory, life-changing journeys, etc.
Yeah, like Tracy said, you'll find out a lot about what we offer. And I just have to mention some of the most effective work we do is actually in Ecuador.
Correct.
Working with the indigenous cultures and people there. So that's also a big thing that we do, not necessarily programmatic, but powerful. Let's bring up our next poll. This is poll number 7. This is really to kind of figure out where we fit in this whole idea of creating social change. So in terms of activism, what's true for you? There are 5 options. First is, I am a longtime activist. The second option is, I've been involved with some causes. The third is, I care a lot but don't have time. The fourth is, I don't know what to do. And I haven't seen myself as one. And actually, there's one more option of other. Maybe you don't fit into any of those categories.
So read them again.
Yeah, so I'm a longtime activist. I've been involved with some causes. I care a lot, but don't have time. I don't know what to do. I haven't seen myself as one, and anything else. So very interestingly, and I'm actually not too surprised considering that we have 20% of people who are over, actually 23% of people over 65. I've been involved with some causes. 43% of people have been involved in one way or another, and 34% of people are longtime activists. Of the 7 courses we've done, I actually think that's the highest number we've ever had. And it goes along with what people have talked about, what they want to get out of the course. They're ready to get into action. So a significant number of you are activists, or you've been involved with things in the past.
Great. And Catherine says she became an activist after she first saw the symposium. I think that's true for others, and also we've had that response with this intensive as well.
Cool.
Okay, we're going to do some chats now as an activity. We've been doing chats kind of as just we had things to say, but now as an activity in this course tonight, our first chat, and we're going to give you a moment to just jot a brief response to this question, and then we'll pause for a minute so we can read them over. And here's the first chat. Is there a difference between activism and being in action? And I'll tell you, that question came from the last intensive. Somebody posted that in the discussion forum. They said, what's the difference? Is there a difference? So this is not something Mario and I are going to now answer for you. We're just opening an inquiry right now on this call with you. For you, is there a difference between activism and being in action? And if you would just, if you have some response you'd like to share, just post that in the chat, and we'll be quiet for a minute and see what you think.
I love that I haven't seen many people are really thinking about it.
For me, activism sticks in my head, and being in action has to originate from my heart. That's interesting.
I would say activism is having a certain mindset where being in action is the actual doing as a result of the planning. Very interesting.
Yeah, so again, there's no answer we're going for here. It's just, this is kind of, for someone in a game changer intensive, it's not a bad question to be thinking about.
And part of this, I mean, you know, some people are triggered by the word activism, and maybe especially people who've been involved in some causes. Some people have felt either burnt out or even heartbreak at how different movements haven't necessarily given people what they wanted. So it's interesting to explore what is your relationship to that word.
And Jeff said, activism is scratching the surface, being in action permeates everything you do. Interesting. Just interesting ideas, takes on it. Okay, let's try another chat.
Great.
How are we doing on time? Oh, yeah. Okay, move along.
So this next chat is, how are you taking what you've learned from the course out into the world? So, you know, this might look like any number of different things, and it might not even occur to you entirely, but you might be talking to people. You might be sharing the content with people. How are you taking what you've learned from the course out into the world?
So far.
So far is an important point. Integrating it into my work.
Dennis, great answer. Have you got a few hours for that question? Okay, you guys, sounds like you need to talk to Dennis. As we said before, Dennis has done the course a couple times, and so he's about taking it into his life, and you're welcome to contact him. Who else? What else have you been doing? I'm a life advocate as opposed to activist. Using it for a book.
Interesting.
I'm practicing on you all. I'm practicing communicating. Hope you don't mind.
You're doing great, Fiona. I'm inspired.
I like to think I integrate this work every moment. Sometimes I do it well, sometimes not so much. You know what? Boy, that's a great state to be in if we can get ourselves there, so that we're doing this intensive 24/7. This is what our lives are about, making this change, being in community. This course is helping me become in addition to doing, so being as well as doing. Excellent.
And focusing on showing up and keep showing up. I actually really resonate with that. Sometimes just showing up on the court, it opens you up to other things to happen.
Sharing the content with others. Seriously, you guys, this course has not been around that much, so the world is open for the Game Changer Intensive, and we invite you to invite as many people as you like to be part of this.
Wonderful. Stuart Levine, activism is always purposeful. Action is not always. The difference between ready, fire, aim, and ready, aim, fire. Cool. Let's go to this next chat.
All right, so here's a kind of truth-telling moment. We talked about the stretch zone. Now this is between you and yourself, but you're going to get to write it in the chat to make it realer for yourself. What would you, and I mean you personally, what would you, or what do you need to do to put yourself in your stretch zone during this intensive? What is one thing you could do that would have you know you're in your stretch zone or willing to be in your stretch zone? This is a personal question. It's intimate. And the question is kind of a stretch zone question itself.
And again, how do you know you're in the stretch zone? What's it like for you? What
Me?
does that mean for you? Yeah.
Butterflies
Yeah.
in the stomach, but somehow knowing it's right. Just knowing it's right. What about you?
Anxious. Sure, I'm going to fail. Actually, when I think that everybody around me is smarter than me, it's usually a sign that I'm in the right place. Participate actively in the small groups discussions.
Now, see, that's just such an honest answer. There are those of us who either we're not into small groups or, okay, I'll listen, but this person's telling the truth. It would be a stretch for me to actually speak to these strangers. Way to go.
Another person said something similar. Just showing up here puts me in my stretch zone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Speaking out, not quit. You guys, here's why this is an issue. We are not taught, this course is not about making a better car. This course is not about a small thing. We are actually talking about the future of life on this planet. Seriously. And you know that. That's why you're in the course. That's what's at stake. We at the Pachamama Alliance do not have the answer. It isn't like you come to the end of the course and we're going to give you the silver package. No. What we're going to give you is yourself wrapped in a bow and a community of other people with whom together we're going to work it out. So it's important. It's not to be anxious about it or have this be heavy, because it's both, as somebody said, it's this joyful opportunity. We're alive at this time in history. We get to be the ones, but it's not insignificant. I guess that's what I want to say. And so this question about your stretch zone, it's important. It isn't like it doesn't matter. It does matter. You matter.
Absolutely. Vote more with my dollars. Powerful. Very cool. Well, I must say we are on the path toward ending early. Wanted to mention something, and that has to do with how we fund this course. So, this actually takes money. It takes quite a bit of money. And, we realized we actually talked a ton about should we charge for it, should we not? And we really want to do it differently. We don't necessarily want to go out and tell you what the value is. We want you to tell us what the value is. What does this mean to you? And, somebody actually, it's on my mind, somebody said to use their dollars. Your money is a form of action. It's a potent form of action. And this whole thing, this particular platform, the small groups, the conference calls, all of those things cost money. So tuition, as you know, is voluntary. And at the end of the course, and now, we do ask you to make a donation. We've crunched the numbers, and it costs about $80 a person to run this course. And so, I invite you to visit our website, and Ariel's going to actually post the URL for where you can make a donation to us. I really, really invite you to either tonight or when the course ends. And if you're going to do it tonight, here's what I suggest. Click on that link. It's going to open another page, and before you go to sleep tonight, go ahead and follow through on that commitment. Again, we want to make this course free, and we want you to let us know what can you afford and what is the value that you got out of it. $80 is what it costs us to put one on. If it's in your means, go beyond it. And if it's not, don't underestimate the power of multiple people donating at the same time. Great. I think that's all I have to say about that. And we are near the end. Your next small groups begin on Sunday. They happen on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. If you can't be there, make sure to let your folks know. And I just want to take this time to mention something. I've answered this question multiple times of when do you release the course content and why can't you release it sooner? So it's a very fair question, especially to you people who meet on Sundays. You have to wait all the way till Tuesday. Well, the reason is that the last group meets on Tuesday evening. So it's really confusing if you're about to go into your meeting and you find that, oh my goodness, there's a new module, I had no idea. We basically release the module after the last group. So you can expect to hear from us every Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock Pacific time with an email letting you know of the new content.
Again, to remind you that on the home page of your coursework, there's a feedback button. Is that right, Ariel? Is it a feedback button? Yeah, if you have anything to say, ideas, suggestions, let us hear from you. We're very open. We'd like to hear.
Actually, even want to put an exclamation point on that. We really take feedback seriously. For the moderators who I work with, they can attest. We really listen, we want to make this better, and we really trust your perspective. So I really, really urge you and invite you to share even sharing with us what works. We want to know that too, but your perspectives really make a big difference.
We're going to end in a minute, but what we are going to do is we're going to keep the chat room open so that if you've been kind of wishing you could just chatter away at some of the people and things you've been seeing go by, we'll let you just play with the chat room for a little bit, be in communication if you wish. Evolutionary activism is coming your way soon. Evolutionary activism, what does that mean? You're going to have a chance to delve into that for yourself. As Mario said, can be a very provocative idea, but pretty inspiring once you start thinking about it. We won't be with you in this live session until after all the rest of the coursework is done.
Put in your calendars July 15th. Again, 5:30 Pacific time. We'll be bringing everybody back together again. And
oh, I know what to say.
yeah.
On Module 5, you're going to do Module 3 this week. When you get to Module 5, we start getting to the rigged game. Sometimes people's schedule all of a sudden gets very busy. Oh, I was really enjoying the course, but I'm busy. Hey, you guys, please notice that. Stay with it. Stay with the rigged game module. Stay with the game changer module. That's really, really an important part of this whole package. So as strongly as we can, encourage you to just stay with this program to the end. We really invite and encourage you to do so. Keep posting on discussion forums. It's okay to write on the discussion forum, hello. That could be your whole posting. And for you, that could be a stretch zone activity. Anything else?
No. I think we are done. Again, we're going to leave the chats open. Tomorrow we will post a recording of this along with the chat logs. So if you've missed stuff, you can check them out tomorrow, download them and read them. We are so grateful to be on this journey with you. We are inspired and touched at your openness and eagerness to engage, and we are here to meet you. I am particularly personally privileged to be a part of this. So thank you for being here. And thank you.
Thank you. Have a great couple of weeks.
So long, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.